Transition Awareness Breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition Awareness Breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
Welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. This is Eartha, and thank you so much for coming back and joining me. Today, I would like to open up our session with an imagery exercise. Are you ready? Okay. Well, before I get started, I would like to thank Web Talk Radio for allowing me to have a platform to bring Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast to you. And to my producers, Mary Lou and Sam, thank you so much for making Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast available to my listeners wherever they go. Okay, now let's set the scene. It's dark, it's nighttime. And although it is dark and it's nighttime, fading in to the main scene is a glow of light. It's not just one light. It's many lights. And there are hundreds and thousands of people. And the weather is cool and a little bit moist. And the place is at the Western Wall in Israel. I recently returned from Israel. It was a great trip. And I wanted to share a mindfulness experience with you. And I thought it'd be nice to start it off as best as my ability to give you the ambience of what triggered this mindfulness practice that I performed while I was at the Western Wall in Israel. It was an emerging type of practice. A situation happened and it triggered a mindfulness thought. And then from that thought, I began to meditate and then found the words to bring this practice into action. And that's what I want to share with you today. I would like to paint a picture for you. If you can imagine the scene, like if you look at a movie, they open up with this fade in and it's a scene. And we were at the Great Wall. And if you're not familiar, I would try to give a little brief introduction. The Great Wall, the wall is referred to as the Kotel, and it is the part of the outer wall of the second temple, and it's what is left over from many, many years when the second temple was standing and it was destroyed. But this is one part that is still standing, this Western Wall. And many people from all over the world come to visit and to see it and to touch this wall and as I referred to in my previous podcast, we look at the surroundings in Israel. We walk the paths, and it's among generations of that has passed on. We walk those same paths, and some of the artifacts are still standing. And you look at it, and it's just an amazing feeling to look at something that you have read about in the Bible or history. And so there must have been thousands of people at the Western Wall. At least it seemed like it was thousands. And the Land and Spirit tour broke us into smaller groups. And so the leader of the group that I was with was led by Rabbi Levi and Naomi Bletsowski. I hope I'm saying their name correctly. And their daughter was with them. She's a 14-year-old daughter, Rifka. And so as a side note, I would like to thank Rabbi Levi and Naomi and Rifka and the whole group from California and everywhere for welcoming me and being so hospitable and including me in their group. Okay, so I just wanted to give this shout out. So to continue, usually what happens is like the men are on one side and the ladies are on the other side. The atmosphere, this was in the evening, and the lights around the kotel were glowing. And there was music playing, and the joy and the happiness that filled that space, that area, was very, very thick. It was thick with joy. It was thick with acceptance. The music was playing and people were dancing. So as we were kind of reflecting and the music was dying down and it was almost time for us to head back to our hotel, Naomi asked, as we stood in a circle, "What are you taking away from this experience?" Each lady in the group shared their thoughts and feelings and what was meaningful about that experience that was personal to them. And then it was Rifka's turn. Her mom asked Rifka, "What do you think that we could do to keep this happiness and this joy? What do you think?" And I remember the look on Rifka's face. She looked at the wall, and the light was glowing on her face, and her eyes were just bright. And then, as she formed her thoughts, her eyes were serious and yet curious at the same time. And she said, "We could build the wall at home." And I thought that was so magnificent, because what I saw Rifka do was she looked and she thought and she took in the experiences of what was going on around her. And she wanted to package it up and bring those experiences home. And so what I saw her do, in my perspective, from a mindfulness coach, mindfulness facilitator, I saw her do an awareness scan of her surroundings and taking it all in, the senses, through her senses, like a sponge, and packaging it up and bringing those very special, pleasant, positive emotions and experiences with her. And just to go a little bit just a little detail, while we were there at the Western Wall, there was a a sense of acceptance. Everyone was there and appreciating and showing gratitude. It was very crowded, you guys, but there was a level of patience that is not normally seen in my perspective. I mean, people were waiting and helping, and I just translated as I kind of reminisce about that experience. I'm translating those qualities and those events, and taking in what Rifka said, that we could build that type of experience at home. Now, Rifka used the word wall, but how about the elements of that wall would be the mindful qualities? Just think about that. And I'm going to review the mindful qualities in a few minutes. Before we get into the mindful qualities, I would like for us to really explore the qualities and the definitions of a wall. I think we can all agree the common interpretation and understanding that a wall is a structure, and oftentimes it is described as a stone or a brick structure. It is usually used to divide a space, to give protection from invasions, or to provide a barrier to prevent someone or something from escaping. And I think we can find that anywhere in most dictionaries. But if we went a little bit more and we took our mindfulness vision about a wall and kind of compare and use our mindful eye and look at how we use our awareness of our senses. So we have 5 senses. And the way we get in tune to those 5 senses helps us to take in information from the environment. So we have the sense of smell and taste and touch, sight and hearing. And all those senses in our neurological systems, they travel different pathways. They're sectioned off. Each section of the neurological pathway has a certain purpose. I mean, everything is not just thrown in and, by chance, we're able to see or touch. Things are sectioned off. The body is sectioned off into systems. Is that a wall? Is it a partition? And so walls and partitions, I think, can be used and seen in a positive way. In our past experiences, unfortunately, due to COVID, we saw many barriers that were not necessarily stone structures just pop up to keep people at a safe distance or to keep a separation. And so walls do not necessarily mean that they are made out of brick or stone. You can have people divide, arranged in different ways and cause a type of barricade or a separation. Often see, when we have children and parents. As a parent myself, you know how to protect your children and kind of guide them and form a protective space for that child. And so when we look at walls, I'm excited to kind of look beyond the standard definition. And so that's how come I can accept what Rifka said about a wall. That is not necessarily a structure that prevents something or someone from coming in or escaping, but it's a mindfulness component that's comprised of the mindfulness qualities. Can you imagine if we looked at one of the mindfulness qualities, and I ask that you keep this in mind when I read the mindfulness qualities, and choose one that is special to you. Find even one that you may want to work on. And so, for example, one of the mindfulness qualities is generosity. And so there's different ways to show generosity. And what's the result when there is a spirit of generosity? What is the environment like? And I ask you those questions just to think about it, because it creates a different type of environment. It's not an environment, in my opinion, that blocks people out. Instead, it is an environment that welcomes people. It opens ourselves and gives us a chance, when we are generous, to share not only a kindness to someone else, but it also, when we are generous to ourselves, when we take care of ourselves and we do positive self-care to ourselves, we can recharge and get re-energized. And then we're able to show a greater amount of generosity to others around us. And so then it builds an environment. It builds a structure, maybe. But that structure is not tangible. It's an intangible awareness that something is very accepting. Something is pleasant. Something is positive about this place. And so it's that quality that we can take with us. Another mindfulness quality is beginner's mind. And maybe we need to think about what that means to us. What's a beginner's mind? I think of a beginner's mind when I'm starting a new project or I'm learning something new. There's a curiosity, there is inquisitiveness, there is an openness. And so if we can work on strategies to help have a beginner's mind, we open ourselves, our brains, to new worlds. We don't have to know everything. And we don't have to act like we're experts in everything. We could be open to learning, to having that beginner's spirit. And so these mindfulness qualities, which, I look at them as the elements of the wall, of the Western Wall. They're not tangible. That's the thing. We're building an intangible, a new world. Because what really matters with this wall, with this structure, are our actions. It's our actions. It's more than just a structure. We put in the energy. We reflect. We think. We meditate and bring out. And it may not be perfect, and that's okay. And we may make mistakes, and that is okay. What I would like to do is to read you the list of mindful qualities as I promised early in our session today. The purpose of this is to listen to the qualities and choose one that you would like to improve on. This list was compiled by Gina, and Gina is an expert in mindfulness-based stress reduction program for teens in particular. And I'm honored to be able to take her course. It's a 10-week course, and I wanted to share this list with you because I thought it tied in so well with the analogy that Rifka shared with me when we were in Israel. Okay, so listen to the list, choose one that you would like to improve and work on for this next week. Here we go. Mindful qualities. Non-harmful judgment. Acceptance. Non-striving. Patience. Trust. Openness. Not knowing. Letting go. Gentleness. Generosity. Beginner's mind. Authenticity. Empathy. Gratitude. Compassion. Curiosity. These are the mindful qualities. Okay, so I encourage you to play the list again if you need to. And I thank you for joining me. I hope this was a meaningful session for you. And I look forward to talking to you again next time. Have a great day.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy. Unlock new creative paths. Transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.